Hey guys, today's strength workout is going to be for the runners out there. It's not going to be a lot of strength as in power, but more intrinsic strength in how you support yourself against that reaction force of the ground and gravitational load obviously coming down all the time. So I've got 10s and I've got 5s, depending on what kind of load you want to use. But we are going to do a circuit format. So we're going to go exercise by exercise and repeat that 3 times through. So let's get started with a good warm-up. For those of you that are not choreographed based, this one is much more up your alley because we are not going to follow an 8 count. So I want you to just go ahead and find a wall or a bar or something to support. And you're going to take one leg, stand on the opposite, and start to swing. So we're kind of freeing up the mobility or increasing the mobility of the swinging side, but how it translates across the body, and of course building some heat and a little bit more awareness to stability of the standing leg. So then go ahead and just turn around to the other side and repeat that. So right now the whole purpose is just kind of creating a little bit of looseness, heat, or a feeling of open and space in the joints. And because running involves a lot of multiplanar motions, we're going to angle this, turn and face the wall, and I want you to take one leg and just start to sweep it across the body and out. I'm not really worried about holding really tight or strong in my core. I'm definitely aware of it, but more than anything, I'm just trying to feel kind of loose in that whole cross body pattern of hip to torso. Then I'm going to switch sides. So maybe about 10 to 20 of these. You probably notice there's a variance in how you feel, especially in the cross swing on one side versus the other. Then I want you to go back to the start. This time we're going to be a little bit more core braced or core aware. On that leg swing, I want you to make it a little bit quicker, but without letting your torso go into a big back extension or a lot of twisting. So you're bringing more heat into your standing leg, getting your foot to fire, getting your hip musculature to fire, yet still getting that active mobility through the swinging side. Then switch sides. So again, a little bit more core brace, back nice and neutral, and a good, strong, quick swing. Softened on that standing foot. Again, kind of different on me. Notice the differences of one side versus the other. That's why we're doing all of this, to create some symmetry. And then go ahead and come back to center. I want to combine that with a little bit of a reverse lunge. So you're going to sweep one leg back, and as you do, you're going to sweep your arm overhead, opposing the arm that's in front. So a leg swing to a rear lunge. So that's 3. Let's go to 10. Still about that core bracing. 8. Just warming up here. And then we'll switch sides. So a little leg swing to a lunge back, opposing arm to forward leg, reaches overhead. Again, building a little bit of awareness into your stance or stable forward hip. 6. 8. And that's it. Take your feet nice and wide. I want you to make sure your toes are mostly forward, but you're going to actively create torsion in your hip or from the femur into your hip, and then just squat nice and low. Repeat that a few more times. Really driving from your hips back with that same core bracing. Let's do 5 more. So again, building some heat. 1 more time. Then we're going to do a little jump rope series, and I'm going to time this. I want you to start on both feet. for about 30 seconds, letting your heels kiss the ground every time with that same emphasis of core bracing, a nice relaxed upper body. We're going 30 seconds here with this bilateral jump. Again, letting the knees soften. If you don't want to do that arm swing, or if you do have a jump rope, all the better. Then we're gonna start to alternate from one side to the other. So kind of getting that hip shift, that pony rock, without a lot of collapsing through the torso. Same idea, heels kissing the ground. Then we're about to go to a single side for 15 seconds each, twice through. So you're probably noticing a little bit more heat now, slightly elevated breath. This is not a cardiovascular intense workout, just a little bit more neuromuscular connection. Go to one foot, 15 seconds. See when you're on that foot that you're not leaning to that side. And again, a nice spring through the foot. 3, 2, switch sides. Notice how the spring load and the strength through the foot on one side compares to the other. Still kissing the heel down every time. Let's do that again. First side. Just brings a little bit more of this free side awareness in the obliques to the supporting leg. Last time on singles, switch sides. I don't know about you, but I'm getting warm. Perfect, but nothing too breathy. You can do this for a while. This is a great warm-up just for any run. Go back to your alternating for 30 seconds. And again, a really strong, stable center. Always bringing awareness to that in everything we do. Then we're going to finish with that bilateral or 2-foot jump. Here we go, 2 feet. In a bilateral stance, it obviously brings a little bit more awareness from the pelvic bowl and kind of that base holding nice and strong in an elevated or feeling of elevated position, especially for females. But we all have some pelvic floor issues as we get older, especially if we sit a lot. That's it. So now we're going to go into a circuit. We're going to do a lot of standing into floor. So again, it's not going to be a lot of heart rate generation because that would be a little bit too taxing. I want you to grab some weights for lunges, but also for an overhead press. So again, it doesn't have to be heavy, or it can be. If this is a big load day for you. All I want you to do is step forward with 1 foot, lunge. Come back to center, step side to a lunge. Come back to center, step forward to a lunge. Come back to center and press overhead. Do the same thing with the other leg. Step forward, lunge, side lunge, forward lunge, overhead. Little variation on the lunge. I want you to start to sweep your arm, almost like a little bit of a rowing, running motion, and then hold it there, press overhead both arms. Again, switch. So this is our second rep of each side, getting that translation of how we hold our torso really, really strong through all of the dynamic shifting from front to side to front. Less about a bicep curl, more about a shoulder swing. So I want your elbows to stay somewhat soft throughout until you get to the press. That's 4. Notice when you get to that overhead press that the ribs aren't flared. 6. A lot of control on that deceleration of the moving leg. 3 more each side. I think thinking I might have wanted to use 5s on the arm swing. This is 9, which I may do next round. One more each side. The whole purpose of doing these in repetition without a lot of load, as you already know as a runner, is muscular endurance and that neuromuscular development of good stability. Go ahead and put those weights down. We're gonna recline in that nice hollow belly, or that sense of almost a crunch with that low back long. Hands behind your head. I just want you to bicycle one side to the other, your speed. I'm gonna do 10 more to make it 20. And again, come back upright. We're gonna move on to a little bit more single side, still with 2 weights though. So I want you to stand on that first leg that you did when you're gonna do your lunges, and you're gonna sweep back into a little hinge. Whatever arm is opposing your standing leg, I want you to row. Come back up, give me a bicep curl. Do the same thing on the other side. Hinge, the single arm opposing that forward leg, row to a bicep curl. You've got 9 more each. Ideally, throughout the hinge and throughout the hold, I want you to maintain that square, almost square hip position, which is really tough. A lot of us like to roll that rolling or that lifting hip because of some type of instability. That's 4. Feel how strong you are through your foot in that standing leg. And the arm that's rowing, there's this pull lightly of that same forward rib cage into the opposing forward hip, or a little oblique stability, especially when you're hinging forward. Let's do 3 more each side. So yes, it's good to get nice and low with that reach, but not if the spine breaks through the motion into flexion. So I want you to see how strong you can maintain the torso's position as you're hinging and as you're rising. Of course, as you're holding too. This is your last one each side. Then we're going to take these weights back down to the floor, have a little bit more stability. I want you to bring your elbows next to your body but not touching. So you're somewhere between like a normal chest press, which is a little tough on the shoulder. We're not focused so much on the upper body, but more of the obliques. So I want you to start with a hip bridge. Notice with that extension that you're not flaring the front ribs. You're actually feeling length into the back body. Then we're going to close that distance and only do one leg on the lift. Same idea that we did on the hinge or the deadlift. I want you to maintain as neutral a hip position of one side to the other. Whatever leg is lifting, the opposite arm pushes up, palm turns in. That's 10. Make the hips be the driver with that stable core. You have 5 more each. Remember, we have 3 rounds. If you want to intensify any of these exercises, add more load, maybe more speed, but without compromising form. And definitely you can add more reps. Last one each. Then we're finally going to get a little ballistic, since running is a lot of ballistic activity in a controlled manner, unless you're a trail runner. Then I want you to take your legs as wide as it's comfortable to stabilize and create a coiling of power, like that air squat in the beginning. I just want you to give me 10 squat jumps. You can reach and extend overhead, or you can keep your arms in front, or use your arms for a little bit of momentum. 8, 9, 10. Then I want you to stand on one foot. You're gonna do the same thing for 5 reps. 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch sides. Always coming down into that decelerated squat. 4, 3, 2, 1. Go back to your bilateral squat jump. 10. 5. And your single leg, 5 times, 4, 2, and switch sides. Whew, goodness. Make sure you start from a good point of balance. 4, 3, 2, and 1. So now we're gonna come down to the floor. I want you to land on a side plank or in a side plank, but with an extended bottom arm. So we're gonna take that top arm, place it behind the head, find that hollow belly and that rotational opening with your right chest or the top chest. Then you're gonna tap that top leg forward and back, 10 times each. I want you to feel the bottom hip driving towards the sky. 5, 4, 3, 2, take whatever leg is on the bottom, bring it in front. Step with the opposite leg back. And I want you to grab your weights actually, since we can increase load on this. So that same bottom leg that was the hip driver before is now acting as stability. I want you to give me a repeater lunge or dynamic split squat. 3, I'm going to 10. 4, really strong upper back, stable core. 7, 8. I'm gonna put the heavier weights down. Come back to that same one leg forward that you just left with a repeater lunge. And I want you to sweep your arms 20 times each, allowing your T-spine to twist without moving that forward foot or forward knee, and letting yourself get a little bit of this hip rotational stability of that forward leg. Last 3, 2, that's it. Put those weights down. Come to your second side on that side lunge. Top arm, place behind the head, hollow your belly. Take that bottom hip and drive. Really strong lat depression or finding downward rotation for that arm stability. Tap your top foot, front and back 10 times. Three, 2, same side hip that's down. Grab your weights for that repeater lunge. That same leg is forward, so it should be your second side. Give me those 10 repeater lunges. So trying to keep that forward moving leg, or the leg that's moving, without tapping the ground to create even more stability required in extension of that standing hip. Last 2. I'm going to put those weights down, pick up the lighter, but you can always keep the heavier. Same forward leg in place. Static split squat, 20 arm swings, allowing for that T-spine rotation. Three, 2, that's it. Good time to take a little break or go right back into it. So we're gonna leave that whole first series behind, put our awareness now that we know what those motions are and how to execute them with a little bit more force and strength, maybe range of motion, possibly extra load. So let's grab those weights. This is your front side front. lunges, alternating your arm swing, and the overhead press. It's much easier if your arms are down by your side to control how you're falling or resisting that gravitational load. That's the whole point of the arm swing, is to really put a little bit more task into your stability and your whole system of recruitment, not just the foot, but of course the knee, the hip, coming into the torso, and then a reset position with that overhead on that full gravitational line. Whew. Little trip up. Notice if you're losing a lot of your glute core emphasis because your limbs are a little chaotic. Go back to that position of strength and brace in that reset position, that overhead press. It's a good place to get it. And that's why we're doing that reset. Every step is different from the one prior. See how consistent you can keep your movements, your range. This is your last one each side. Not a tough workout, but pretty inclusive of all the different planes and the opposing or contrasting actions of rotation. Speaking of which, find your bicycle, that hollow 20. Four, three, two, come all the way back up. Going into that single leg hinge. If you want to make it a little tougher this time, I want you to do all 10 on one side before we go to the other. Or you can alternate once again. Hip hinge, single arm row, stand to bicep curl. So I'm going to keep alternating. And your bicep curl can be a hammer curl or a non-supinated position. More importantly, I want you to feel how strong your blades remain on your back as the arms move. What I hope you notice this time around so far and throughout this series is how much stronger, i.e. more efficient, you feel in all of your motions, because you're building strength in that neuromuscular synapse, or those synapses, on how to hold yourself and create a little bit more stability. It's like your periodized training program, right? So you're always building upon what you've done. Body gets used to it, gets stronger, neuromuscularly, cardiovascularly, obviously, all of those different systems. Let's do one more each side. Then I want you to take it to the ground. I'm going to add one exercise that I seem to have skipped over, but we'll do that after this chest press. I want you to find your hip bridge, that reset of the spine, that hollowing of the belly, the openness of the neck and length of the shoulders. Then I want you to bridge the hips up and down. Start to move to a single limb, almost like you're marching, but emphasizing the hip drive versus that hip flex of the lifting leg. Add the opposing arm in that chest press. 9, 8, or whatever your tempo. 4, 3, 2. Last one each side. Move those weights off to the side. Here's the exercise I forgot last time. Was supposed to balance that hip drive of extension into a powerful hip flexion. So I want you to bring yourself to a high plank. You're gonna give me 20 cross mountain climbers, holding that protraction, that hollowing of the belly, and that hip extension. Opposing knee towards the opposite elbow. So you can run it or just pull. Ten, 9, 3, that's it. Come back up. Find your space. Give yourself room for those squat jumps. Feet wide, narrow, whatever feels best, but I want you to coil down to explode up for 9. 3, 2, 1 leg, single side, 4, 3, 2, switch sides, 4, 3, 2, go back to bilateral, 10. 4, 3, 2, single side, 5, 4, 3, single side, 5, 3, 2, that's it. Come down, find your side plank. I'm gonna do the second or the opposing side that I started with last time to build a little more of that connection from the first exercise or the exercise that we just did. Find your side plank, that hollow belly, tap your top leg, front back. 8, 6, 4, 3, 2, come to standing. Grab your weights for those repeater lunges or repeater split squat. Same leg forward that was down on that last side plank. 10 of these. Try not to rush. Really feeling how strong you move, not just when you connect back or front, switch, but the whole kind of freestanding process when the leg is swinging and you have to rely more on your trunk or your torsion resistance and coming into that standing hip. 3, 2, I'm going to lighten my load. Bring that first leg forward again, or that bottom leg forward, and your arm sweep. That's 10. We're going to 20. 7, 8, 9, 20. Come to your second side. I made a little error, but it's an error and bonus. So we're going to bonus up on this side as well. You may have caught it. Nice strong lifting or driving from that bottom hip. 10 taps front and back. 6, 7, 8, 9. Whatever leg side is down, that's your forward position. Arms by your sides, just that repeater split squat or lunge back. So again, we're thinking about the stability of the foot, how it translates across the knee, but mostly into your standing forward hip. One more. Here's where the error was last time I made you do the other side. So we're going to do that again. Ultimately, I really want to put emphasis into that one leg over the course of the last 3 exercises. So this is actually giving you a little bit of reprieve, since now the stability of the other leg is getting some freedom. Put those weights down. Come back to your first leg. Find your arm swing 20 times. Not worried about that range or using your back so much, but really just resisting excess twist. That's it. Whew. Water, stretch, whatever you need. 2 rounds down. We're gonna do a couple extra on those mountain climbers, those cross pattern climbers, just because we missed the first set. So if you're rewinding this and doing it over again at some point, remember between the single leg hip hinge, there's the hip drive for the mountain climber, which we're gonna do in sequence, right? And then it's the chest press with the bridge or hip extension. So we'll do it right sequence this time. Grab your weights, front side front lunges, overhead press to reset. And like the second round, I hope this third round brings even more awareness into stability. Probably not a ton of muscular fatigue. Again, this workout, much more about intrinsic strength and rotational patterns, especially when we're getting into season. Even though we don't quite know what our season's gonna be just yet, staying at home. But when and if you get the green light, you are ready. Huge CrossFit workouts as we come into season. A lot of recovery time necessary. You're not gonna perform your best, but these kind of workouts help that maintenance of the neuromuscular synapse efficiency. Just like those recovery runs that you do, or core workouts. One more each side. Really strong in that whole torso line, whether you're straight up or hinging forward. Weights come down. Find yourself on your back. Hollow belly. Opposing elbow to knee. Bicycles. Ten, 9, 8, 3, 2, that's it. Come back to standing. Grab your weights for the row and that single leg hip hinge. If you did it last time, or if you didn't and you want to try it this time, 10 reps one side, then switch to the other. So we're getting a little bit more of that time under tension. The whole time I want you to feel that core bracing and that all-important hip strength in this closed chain rotation. One more. If you're alternating, continue, otherwise switch. About you guys, but when I stay on one leg long, it really highlights that kind of lack of endurance in my efficiency. 3 more. Woo. Those weights come down. Here's where you insert that quick cross mountain climber. Ready, set, hollow belly, 20 each side. Ten, 6, 5, 3, 2, on your back. Grab those weights again. That hip bridge or the hip press. March up. Find that first extension, knowing your position. Then go to a bilateral movement. Hips are the driver. Go to single side. Single side hip driver. Less about the lifting leg. Opposing arm crosses. 10 each. Really strong core bracing on that hip extension. Last time each side. Here's where we get to get our heart rate up a little bit. Get a little more ballistic. Upright. Squat jumps. 10 of them. Last 2. Single leg. 5 of them. Switch. Switch. If you can do all 10 on one side, then switch. That's great. Go back to bilateral. 6, 4, 2, come to your side plank. High plank, hip driver from the bottom, top arm extends, top leg taps, front and back. 9. 5, 4, 3, 2, same leg that's down, steps forward, only one time. Repeater lunges, 10 times. You can tap forward, you can bring that knee up. At this point, it's really about keeping good form. Seven, 8, 9, light weights optional. Hold that same leg forward, arm swings. 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Be sure your big toe mount is staying down. 19, switch sides. Side plank. Last 3. High side plank, i.e. elbow extended. Top arm in alignment with that top or bottom shoulder. Toe taps, front and back. Keep the driver of that bottom hip. 7, 8, 9. Same leg that's down is now your forward stance position. Repeater lunges. Same idea with that strong foot plant. The rotation that's happening on that forward hip and a strong core throughout. That leg steps back, lighter weight option, 20 arm swings. Feel the instep of your shoe and your foot. 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. We did it. Nothing crazy over the top. You're not going to need a ton of recovery from this. And I even think this is a great workout to do post-run day, especially if you've done a little bit of intensity or duration, because then you bring a little bit more strength back into your movements that might have defaulted. Plus, if you're already broken down from that intensity of the run, you might as well continue that breakdown just a little bit longer so you don't take away from the recovery the next day or whatever your recovery time might be. So you're just kind of sandwiching more on top of that. So I want you to come to your belly, take your arms to a T, palms down. You can keep your head down, but I don't want you to let your shoulders antevert or roll into the front. I want you to find some strength at the blade position on your back. I like to keep a little bit more extension of the thoracic spine with the head off the floor. And we're gonna bend one leg, take whatever foot is lifted. I want you to reach towards the opposite hand. See if you can rotate that lifted knee up lightly. Replace that, repeat it with the opposite side. So you're letting yourself just gently rotate into that posterior region, strengthening the lift of the back or the extensor group. But more importantly, you're freeing up that rotational pattern that we were working on stabilizing in a little bit more of the front body. I'm just gonna do 10 each of these. A little bit of a dynamic stretch, air quotes. 8. See if you can keep a little bit of that core brace. Let's do one more to each side. I think I'm inchworming back. And then I want you to go onto your back. And in essence, do pretty much the same thing. Arms to a T. One leg is gonna bend, rotate across, come back to center, reverse it. You can even extend that top leg if you want to get a little bit more down the limb, or even through the bottom of the foot, flex the foot, or dorsiflex by driving the heel. But you probably have a sense right now of the feeling of the opposite shoulder to leg and that whole back body line that's getting a bit more length as the front body from shoulder to moving leg or opposing shoulder to moving leg are getting a little bit of extra tension to execute that twist. That's it. Bring yourself forward and up. I want you to rock into a squat position, and we're going to do this in a very wide stance. So I want you to find that position that's most comfortable for you to get your pelvis low. And everybody's pelvic structure is different. Obviously how your knees translate, how your feet articulate, and your ankles. But I want you to come to a position where you're kind of relaxed in the bottom of a squat. You can work a little bit more extension or sitting upright if it feels right for you. And then you're just gonna press your elbows to the inside of your knees without letting your heels come off the floor or your toes splay excessively out to the side. So I want you to get some of that ankle to foot and back of the lower leg to get some length as you're hinging deep from the knees and the hips. So the inside of the knees is where the elbows press. I want you to push out, simultaneously pull your knees in. And again, create a little bit of stability there by dropping your hips and lifting your chest, not rolling off your big toe mound. And because again, we worked in a lot of rotational patterns, I want you to bring your hands to the floor, take one leg back. You're gonna come into a deep curtsy so the bottom hip drops and you can feel that side length of the bottom side. And then I just want you to turn with that top arm to push the knee forward and look over the opposite shoulder. Come back to center. I want you to push your rib cage towards your hand that's down. And again, the top arm pushes the knee forward, the torso rotates back. Let's do that one more time. A little push of the ribs towards the hand that's down, and then back. Come back to that nice wide squat. See how that side feels from the rotation. Let's repeat it on the opposite side. Back leg or leg pushes back, bottom hip comes down. I want you to take that top hand, gently push away from that floor position and look over that rear shoulder. And as you rotate back, I want you to drive your ribs towards that hand that's down. Feel that lateral pull and how it translates actually into the waist or the pelvis. Come back to that center, push away by bringing that knee and that hand of the top side towards one another. Rotate back to the front, rib cage driving towards the hand that's down. One more time. Little twist. So this workout and this warm up, this cool down, all good with a run, in tandem with a run day, or alternate days. Anytime that you feel you need a little maintenance in your strength without an excessive amount of load would be great. Thanks, you guys. See you next time.